Before the crushing 10th plague that finally causes Pharaoh to surrender, the first 9 plagues can be grouped into various patterns. One of those patterns is of 3 groups of 3 plagues each. Before the first 2 of each of those 3 plagues, God tells Moshe, to go to Pharaoh to warn him as to what's coming. So that's before the first 2, before numbers 4 and 5, and before numbers 7 and 8. Before the third of each set of 3, there's no warning. So when the plagues begin, God tells Moses to go warn Pharaoh that the Nile is going to turn to blood. Moshe heads to Pharaoh and he delivers the bloody bad news. Before the second plague, God tells Moshe to tell Pharaoh that there's going to be a Batrachian invasion. You can teach your friends and relatives a new word at this year's Seder. Batrachian means relating to frogs. And so the frogs come and they are everywhere. They're driving Pharaoh crazy.
Frogs here, frogs there, frogs are jumping everywhere.
Finally, Pharaoh can't take it any longer. He summons Moshe to the palace and he tells him, pray to God, get these frogs out of here. Moshe then asks Pharaoh a question that seems to be preposterous. He says to him, okay, when do you want the frogs to disappear? Gee, I don't know, Moshe. How about in 6 months? Of course Pharaoh's going to say immediately. But Moshe knows who his opponent is. And amazingly, instead of saying immediately, Pharaoh says tomorrow. Tomorrow? Why not right now? The best answer I ever heard to explain this is that Pharaoh's thinking, oh, I get it. I see what's going on. There's no God. Moshe's just a great scientist. He figured out that this weird frog invasion is about to end. So he's asking me, when do I want it to end? Knowing I'm going to say right now. It'll stop right now, and it'll look like his God was orchestrating this. I'm going to trick him. I'm going to say tomorrow instead. But of course, that's not what's going on. God brought the frogs, and God can make them leave whenever he wants. You want it tomorrow, Pharaoh? No problem. And that's when the fun starts. Because there are 4 more warnings coming. 2 warnings before the first 2 of the next set of 3, before plagues 4 and 5, and 2 warnings before plagues 7 and 8. But this time, for each of those 4 warnings, God adds a word. He tells Moshe to go to Pharaoh and tell him that such and such a plague is coming, and it's coming tomorrow. You want to play the tomorrow game, Pharaoh? Have at it. God hoists him on his own petard. How about them apples, Pharaoh? And this is so important that God tells Moshe that for posterity, all of us as Jews at the Seder every year, we have to tell our children and our grandchildren how God mocked the Egyptians, how he played them, how he toyed with them. Why? Not just to flash some divine humor through the tomorrow game, but to teach us a hugely important lesson, that God often mirrors our actions towards him with an equal and opposite reaction. If we mock him like Pharaoh did, if we say as Pharaoh did earlier in the Torah, who is God? I don't know who God is, and I don't have to listen to him, and I'm not going to let the Jews go. If we do that, then God may mock us. If we try to hide from him as Adam and Eve did after eating the forbidden fruit in the garden, he'll play that game as well. He'll say to us, as he did to Adam and Eve, where are you? Pretending that he doesn't know where we are. But if we do the opposite, if we find him, if we make him central in our lives, if we obey him, if we make him the most important entity in our lives, then instead of hiding from us as he did from Adam and Eve, he'll be guiding us. And instead of mocking us as he did to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians, he'll be shocking us with his endless compassion and sensitivity and generosity. Have a very happy and healthy Passover.